Welcome, travelers, to our episode. We are talking about what makes a United States territory, definition, and geographic examples. But as usual, before we get in, let's do some trivia. What is the smallest Asian country by land area and population? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Maldives. Which European country has enough nuclear fallout shelters to accommodate its entire population? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Switzerland. That surprised me, but Switzerland has very large mountain systems, so you really could hide out there. Okay, what is the capital of Uruguay? It's in South America. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Montevideo. Okay. Let's get into it. So, interesting that we have territories. And when teaching geography or discussing it, people ask, oh, well, why is Puerto Rico a territory? Usually that's what we know here, or Guam. And I decided maybe let's have a podcast about them. So the United States is commonly understood as a nation composed of 50 states, but its political geography extends beyond those states. Scattered across the Caribbean and the Pacific Ocean are regions that belong to the United States, yet are not states. These areas are known as United States territories. Understanding what a U.S. territory is requires examining constitutional authority, political status, and geography. Always comes back to geography. Territories occupy a unique space within the American system. They are under U.S. sovereignty, but do not enjoy the full rights and representation granted to the states. Constitutional foundations of U.S. territories. So the law of the land is the Constitution. That's what everything's supposed to be based upon. The authority for governing territories come from the Territorial Clause of the U.S. Constitution, Article 4, Section 3. This clause grants Congress the power to make all needful rules and regulations respecting the territory or other property belonging to the United States. In practical terms, this means Congress has broad authority to determine how territories are governed. Unlike states, which share sovereignty with the federal government, territories ultimately remain under congressional control. While many territories have local constitutions and elected governments, Congress retains the power to override territorial laws. This constitutional arrangement defines the core difference between a state and a territory. If you hear little noises in the background, this is the first time I've seen Puffin playing with this thing. It looks like a pyramid and has balls around it. Wow. Okay. ADD. All right. So, several features distinguish territories from states. First, residents of territories generally do not have full voting representation in Congress. Most territories elect a non-voting delegate, or in the case of Puerto Rico, a resident commissioner to the U.S. House of Representatives. These representatives can participate in debates and committees, but cannot vote on final passage of legislation. Territories have no representation in the U.S. Senate. Second, residents of territories cannot vote in presidential elections unless they establish residency in a state or the District of Columbia, Washington, D.C. Despite this limitation, most territorial residents are U.S. citizens and may serve in the U.S. military. Third, the application of constitutional rights in territories is shaped by a series of Supreme Court decisions known as the insular cases, which occurred in the early 1900s. These cases distinguish between incorporated territories, where the full Constitution applied, and unincorporated territories, where only fundamental rights are automatically granted. All current U.S. territories are classified as unincorporated. Categories of territories. Territories can be described as organized or unorganized. An organized territory has an organic act passed by Congress establishing a formal system of local government. An unorganized territory does not have such legislation and is governed more directly under federal authority. In addition, the most modern territories are unincorporated, meaning they are not considered on a guaranteed path towards statehood. This legal distinction continues to shape political debates over rights and representation. So, Puerto Rico is an example of that, with statehood or not having statehood. So that comes to mind. Major inhabited U.S. territories. So today, the United States has 5 major inhabited territories. Each one has its own distinct characteristics and historic backgrounds. Puerto Rico. Been to Puerto Rico 2 times. I do love Puerto Rico. I haven't been there in, I would say, 12, 13 years. I really would like to go back. It's not that far of a flight from New Jersey, and the people are very kind. The food is really good. It's just, it's always a good time. And when I went there in college, we rented a car, and we were in San Juan, and we went all the way through the mountains. I mean, these roads are like this big. I ordered Burger King in Spanglish, and we went to Ponce, and that's when I realized there's a leeward and a windward island. So Puerto Rico has a wetter side and a drier side, and to actually see like going up the mountain and it's more lush vegetation than coming down, it's more scrub-like and drier. It was very interesting. So even though Puerto Rico might be a small island, it does have really interesting geography. And they have the bioluminescent bay, which is a bay that glows at night, which I didn't go because I don't do canoes and stuff. Okay, so Puerto Rico is the largest and most populous U.S. territory located in the Caribbean Sea east of the Dominican Republic. The United States acquired Puerto Rico from Spain in 1898 following the Spanish-American War. Fun fact, from what I gathered, in Puerto Rico, you may be able to apply for Spanish citizenship because that used to be a Spanish territory. There's certain things you need to go through, but it's a possibility. Okay, geographically, Puerto Rico is a tropical island with mountains running through the center, coastal plains, and a warm climate year-round. It is strategically positioned in the Caribbean, making it important for trade and military purposes. Puerto Rico is an unincorporated, organized territory. Residents are U.S. citizens by birth. The island has its own constitution, governor, and a legislator, but its representative in Congress cannot vote on final legislation. The political status of Puerto Rico, whether it should be a state, remain a territory, pursue independence, has been debated for decades. And out of all the territories, Puerto Ricans live in other mainland United States. So I would say out of all the territories, they're the biggest demographic, and we have a large Puerto Rican population in the Northeast, including New Jersey. Okay, Guam. Guam is located in the Western Pacific Ocean, part of the Mariana Chain Islands. Like Puerto Rico, Guam became a U.S. territory in 1898 after the Spanish-American War. Geographically, Guam is an island characterized by tropical climate, coral reefs, and volcanic origins. Its location makes it strategically significant for U.S. military options in the Asia-Pacific region. And you can see this theme and with islands, and this is currently happening too with Greenland, that people or governments say they take these islands for strategic military positions. Okay. Guam is unincorporated, organized territory. Its residents are U.S. citizens and elected governor and legislator. However, they only have a non-voting delegate in Congress and cannot vote in presidential elections while residing on the island. So very similar to Puerto Rico. U.S. Virgin Islands. I don't think I've been. Oh, I have been to the U.S. Virgin Islands. I've been to St. Thomas. Okay. So actually, one of my students' parents are going there like sometime this week. All right. So the U.S. Virgin Islands are located in the Caribbean Sea, east of Puerto Rico. And the United States purchased the islands from Denmark in 1917, which is interesting because Greenland's in part of Denmark too, but usually you don't think of like Denmark in the Caribbean. The territory consists of several main islands, St. Thomas, which I've been to, St. John, and St. Croix, along with smaller islands. The region features tropical climates, beaches, and a tourism-based economy. So the thing with Puerto Rico and Guam too, I guess, and the Virgin Islands are that they have hurricanes, or they call them typhoons, in the Pacific, and they're very vulnerable to that. So that is a big issue when natural disasters do happen, and like with Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico, the response from the mainland United States and to what services need to be provided, sometimes the geography does make that difficult. Geography and the lack of political push really sometimes could hamper improving things on a territory, because they don't have that voting right. So their voices might not be heard, and they might not get the services that they needed to get in a quick time. All right, American Samoa lies in the South Pacific Ocean, southeast of Hawaii, which I've been to Hawaii, it's beautiful. Unlike other inhabited territories, American Samoa's residents are U.S. nationals rather than automatic U.S. citizens, although they may apply for citizenship. Geographically, American Samoa consists of volcanic islands and coral atolls with a tropical climate. It maintains strong cultural traditions, including communal land ownership and village-based governance. I'm doing back-to-back podcasts, and I guess my voice is starting to get fatigued. But it's been better because I can like bang them out. So that's why you're seeing me wear the same outfit, and I'm okay with that. That's what happens when you hit 40. You're okay with things that you used to not be okay with. So, American Samoan is considered unincorporated and an unorganized territory. It operates under a locally adopted constitution approved by the U.S. Department of the Interior. And I totally forgot. Thank you to Haley, Romy, and Aya for this sweater. I got it for my birthday, so thank you very much. Shout out. And then we have the Northern Mariana Islands. The Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, CNMI, is located in the Western Pacific north of Guam. The island became a U.S. territory through a negotiated covenant in the 1970s. So geographically, the CNMI includes volcanic and coral reefs with a tropical marine climate. Tourism and U.S. federal support play significant roles in its economy. Residents are U.S. citizens, and the territory has its own constitution and elected government. Like other territories, it sends a non-voting delegate to the House of Representatives. I would say, and this is probably one of the most isolated territories, they're very hard to get to compared to the other ones. Okay, so there are uninhabited U.S. territories, but they're mostly atolls and islands in the Pacific Ocean. And why territories matter? Because they raise important questions about citizenship, democracy, and representation. Millions of people live under U.S. sovereignty without full voting representation in Congress. At the same time, territories can contribute culturally, economically, and militarily to the nation. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that. Let's get into our trivia, and this is what we talked about in a couple episodes before. Egypt has its landmass located in Africa and what other continent? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Asia. What active volcano is in Sicily? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mount Etna. I'm not even looking at these. And what is Canada's national animal? This I need to look at. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And it is a beaver. All right, well, just remember, if you know geography, you know anyone in Ciao Travelers.